Right now, the end may be near for the longest government shutdown in history after 8 Democrats, including our next guest, voted with Republicans to break the filibuster in a key first step. Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen joins us now to talk about it. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Can you give us an idea and our viewers an idea what happened behind the scenes to have you, Senator Kaine, Angus King, Catherine Cortez Masto, Jackie Rosen, and John Fetterman, as well as Maggie Hassan and Dick Durbin all come together to get to the 60 threshold? Can you bring us behind the scenes for that?
Well, there had been discussions going on really since the shutdown about how could we work together to end this? How could we make sure that we can address health care costs for the millions of Americans who are seeing their health care costs rise as the result of the bill that was passed in the summer that the president wanted. And so I think this agreement gives us an opportunity to continue to do that work. We're going to have a vote, and I believe there are a number of Republicans who are going to join us in trying to address health care costs for Americans, but we're also turning the government back on. We're making sure that the people of America can get the food benefits that they need, that air traffic controllers can get paid, that federal workers are able to come back, the ones who were let go, that they get paid, that contractors get paid, that aviation moves forward. So we are going to be able to continue to fight about health care because we're going to have a vote in December.
So Senator Chuck Schumer, your leader on the Senate, said, I cannot support a continuing resolution that fails to address health care. I am voting no. Did you do this outside leadership, and was there a big push for you not to join the others and break the 60 threshold?
No, we kept leadership informed throughout. And I think it's important to remember who's responsible for why we got into this shutdown. We are here because we are concerned about the health care costs rising significantly on millions of Americans. And we didn't have any indication before the shutdown started that our Republican colleagues were willing to address it. Now, Speaker Johnson is going to have to bring the House back in. He's been AWOL since the beginning of September when we were in the middle of this shutdown. Leader Thune has agreed that we will have a bill that we will write that will give us an opportunity to work on those health care costs. And we believe there are a lot of Republicans, including a lot of Trump supporters, who want to see us do something about this because their costs are going up. If you look at who benefits from these premium tax credits, 76% of the recipients are in states that Donald Trump won in the last presidential election.
Right. And just to give you people at home an idea of how everyone weighed in, this came down late last night. A lot of people who were still in bed did not know it. Bernie Sanders comes out and says it was a very bad night. I told you what Schumer said. And then Ro Khanna over in the House says Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the right to stop health care and premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Well, after the longest shutdown in history, I think that's fighting. But what is your take on what Ro Khanna is saying? Do you think Chuck Schumer should leave leadership?
Well, I hope that people who are concerned about health care will stay focused on who's responsible for why we're in this situation. It's because Speaker Johnson has been unwilling to take up legislation. It's because President Trump has failed to weigh in and understand what a big issue this is for Americans. Now, hopefully, both of them will now figure out that they've got to do something about this because people are hurting. President Trump talked a lot about affordability over the weekend. Well, this is a big affordability issue for millions of Americans. We need to do something about it. This agreement gives us an opportunity to continue that fight. Senator,
you're known as one of the most reasonable people in the Senate. So as much as health care is an issue, you know better than anyone when those health care subsidies were passed, that was supposed to sunset. That was how it was written. So they never were supposed to continue to begin with. It's just even though the objective of giving people quality health care is always admirable, continuing these subsidies was never the intent of the Democratic president.
No, I just disagree with that. I sponsored the legislation in 2019 that was introduced. I sponsored it again when we did it during COVID. I sponsored it again when we did it after COVID. And I urged an extension of these affordable tax credits because I knew how important they are to millions of Americans who are now not going to be able to afford their health insurance, and that's going to have a ripple effect throughout the health system. So this is something that we have tried to extend for literally months this year, and we have been 4 times I moved to extend those affordable premium tax credits, and 4 times they were denied by the majority in the Senate.
And Senator, do you agree that the reason why you need additional subsidies is because the Obamacare Affordable Care Act isn't working? These are emergency fixes. It's spackle on something that's bursting at the seams. Do you agree with that?
Actually, I don't agree with that. In New Hampshire, we have had 4 consecutive years where we have both reduced the number of people who are uninsured and reduced the costs of premiums. Now, is there work we need to do? Absolutely. And I hope now that Republicans and the president will come to the table and agree that we need to address health care more broadly for those people who can't afford it.
I think it's a great point. Now, do you think that others might join you and get past the 60? And do you worry about the 60 threshold being somewhat tenuous and pressure could change people's vote by the time we have the real vote?
No, I don't worry about that, because I think people are looking at the millions of Americans who have been affected by this shutdown, the people who are struggling to get food. And I was disappointed that President Trump has refused to fund the SNAP benefits, the first president during a shutdown who refused to make sure that people could continue to eat.
But you know that
we need to address
that was put forward as a solo option, and it was rejected. You know, they only had the same Democrats voting for it. There was SNAP benefits, individual, military pay, individual, and it was all rejected.
But we're in an agreement now that will fund those food benefits for people. It will bring back federal employees who were let go during the shutdown. It will make sure that everybody gets their back pay, that contractors get their back pay. That's important. We need to get this economy moving again. That's why what I'm focused on, as well as making sure we get a vote and we do something about the cost of health care for millions of Americans.
And I'm sure Senator Thune gives you his word. His word is good. And I'm sure you believe that.
I believe his word is good.
I do, too. Thanks so much for doing this. Thanks for doing the show. And hopefully it's a glide path to getting our government open again. Thanks, Senator.
So good morning. Could the end be in sight? We look for the focus point now. After 40 days of pain, some Democrats appear to be waving the white flag and moving to reopen the government while deepening their party's divide. So watch all the nuance in this story. Picked it up over the weekend. We pick it up today. I'm Bill Hemmer on a Monday morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, too. I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. Happy Monday to everyone. So 8 senators who caucus with Democrats have broken rank with their party to advance a Republican plan to end the shutdown. A vote is still to come. The measure would then head to the House for final passage.
So the group is doing this despite getting no guarantees on their one big demand. That was an extension of the tax credits for Obamacare subsidies. And that's drawing fury from some fellow Democrats. After 40 days of furloughs, though, and flight cancellations, the group says it was simply time.
Let me just say this. With the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement. But waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
It was our judgment, after 6 weeks, going on 7 weeks of this shutdown, that path wasn't working.
Aishah Hasnie has the latest from Capitol Hill, and I'm sure that those senators can smell jet fumes and the possibility of being able to leave.
Hey, Dana and Bill, good morning to you. It's been a stunning couple of hours here on Capitol Hill. Think about this. Think about the No Kings rallies, the massive rallies nationwide. Think about 40 days of a government shutdown. Think about last Tuesday's election results. All for what? The Democrats accepted an offer that was always on the table. There is about to be a reckoning in this party when the House comes back to the Hill. Here's what happened last night. 8 centrist Senate Democrats Democrats. They voted alongside Republicans to break the filibuster, and that unlocks the door to ending the government shutdown. Here's the deal. It is a CR, a continuing resolution to fund the government through the end of January. It restores SNAP benefits. It rehires workers who were laid off during the shutdown, and it also passes a couple of funding bills. The shutdown deal skips their crown jewel, the whole reason they were fighting in the first place, to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Instead, they got a promise to hold a vote on it in December. Let me be clear about this. It's not a vote right now. There's no guarantee it's going to pass, no guarantee the House would ever even take it up. Here are some of those Democrats explaining why they voted yes.
It wasn't working. How long would it take to not get a response to say it isn't working?
There was no vote that we were going to get on the Affordable Care Act, premium tax credits. We have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that we will write, not that the Republicans will write.
Democratic base is furious. There are folks out there that are calling for Chuck Schumer's head for not holding out on this. And Dana, this is just the first big step. The Senate now has to try to come to a time agreement to skip a bunch of other Senate steps to get to the final passage. If they can pass it today, maybe tomorrow, they can send it over to the House, and then the Speaker will recall the House, bring everybody back, and then they'll try to get it done sometime this week. Dana?
Aishah, thank you so much.
So Byron York now here to talk about this, following you on X all weekend. Byron, let's talk about the fallout. Democrats did not have the votes. In fact, they've never had the votes for this.
You know, it's been a rocky road, but the end result of this has been clear from day one, which is the party that loses a government shutdown is the party that attaches conditions to reopening the government. In all of our shutdowns, we've had one party that says, oh, my issue is so important that I simply cannot allow the government to keep functioning until we address it. And the other side says, well, wait a minute, let's get the government running and then we'll talk about your issue. And the party that attaches the conditions is the party that always ends up giving up because the public gets tired of the government being shut down. This one went longer than most, and the public is really tired of it.
You know who else is tired of it, or tired of each other? It's the Democratic Party. Most of the headlines today are about Democratic infighting, which I think is to the Republicans' benefit, and the Democrats are going to have to go through this one way or the other. Ro Khanna, the congressman from California, said this: Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? And then that governor from California, Governor Newsom, he said this: tonight's Senate vote on the federal government shutdown should have been a time for strength. Instead, we saw capitulation and a betrayal of working Americans. The American people need more from their leaders. And that's actually mild. If you saw what some of the other Democrats were saying, they used a lot of words that begin with the letter F.
This is just incredible. It's Monday morning. Last Wednesday morning, we were talking about Democrats savoring their victory, having gotten over their slump, having new momentum. That's all we were talking about 5 days ago. And now it's Democrats involved in a bitter civil war. Well, these are tensions that always existed inside the Democratic Party between its progressive wing and a dwindling number of people who call themselves centrists. And we just saw it. We basically have 40 Democrats in the Senate who wanted to hang tough and keep this shutdown going forever, apparently, and 7 or 8 of them who decided that it was time to give in. That's the fight inside the Democratic Party, and it's not going away all the way through their presidential nominating process.
Thank you, Byron. Still need to put some oil in the gears, but they'll do that step by step in the Senate, the House, and then eventually the Oval Office. Thank you.
I believe none of those senators that we just put up, I don't think any of them have an election next year.
Might be right about that. Dick Durbin's one of them leaving, too. Thank you, Byron. Nice to have you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.